Hi, this is Mike from the Bowersock Gallery. Today we're starting our series Follow Mike, and I get the privilege to talk to one of our artists, Christopher Pothier. Now, Christopher is one of our most recognized artists. We put a piece of his in the window, they know who it is. Chris, how you doing?
Good, Mike. I'm doing very well.
We can see some incredible paintings in the background behind you, which we will get to in a little bit. But I've got a question that I've had probably since I've met you. You come from a military background. How has that impacted your craft?
That's a good question.
I know.
Yeah, so my father was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam and a Naval Academy graduate, and my oldest brother was a Naval Academy graduate, and then my other brother was a F-18 fighter pilot, and then I came along and really got interested in art, and luckily they were really accepting of it, I think, and they probably had no choice because I was going to do it regardless, but it was great that they accepted my choice. They knew I was passionate about art, so it was I think when you see someone's passion in something, they can, it's clear that that's the path someone should take. I think as far as how that affects my art is, I think that what military people have like a loyalty, I think, that's really important, and loyalty to their fellow, soldier or fellow airman or whatever it is. And I feel like I've gotten that from my family. So when it comes to making art, I'm like loyal to my patrons, loyal to my audience, loyal to you guys, loyal to the other artists that are in, that are involved too, kind of like as a teamwork kind of thing. And I think that's an important thing with art is a lot of artists want to be their own islands. They want to be their own separate thing. And that's just the nature of an artist in general, is to rebel. But in order for it to all work for everybody, we all have to we're all in it together. So when you have a relationship with galleries, it's a partnership. It's not me versus you. It's us together, because we're all trying to do something that's rare in this society, and that's selling art and making a living doing it.
Very well said. I couldn't have expected a better answer. So so this is what helped you break the mold when you did paintings such as the Cowboy Kids and the whole thing you did with the boys and the arrows and the spears. It's part of that for you.
Yeah.
When they were growing up, getting to see this with them. So I find that incredibly interesting. So it's sort of when you came out of the closet, so to speak, to be an artist, because leaving the business world.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing.
Because I think there's a transformation there that happens that you kind of have to break the mold in a way. And so, like you're saying, like a coming out sometimes can happen in many different ways. I mean, it was definitely a transition period for sure.
So do you feel this is what's created your mission or your belief system?
I don't know. I think I always had that in me. I think I was always, when I was a little kid, I was telling someone last night, when I was a little kid, I was really into philosophy. I was really into thinking about, I thought about like big ideas. Like I loved astronomy. I loved space. I loved learning about.
Well, I remember that in some of the first paintings we had by you.
Exactly. Yeah, those the first
were
paintings
great.
I've ever seen you guys.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and so I think that when I was a kid, I had all these crazy ideas, and I saw all these things in my head. And so when I first went to school, I actually was sort of on the path to go to the Naval Academy, and then interrupted that path, and then just canceled my application process, and ended up going to another school and studied philosophy. And it was at that school that I realized that I saw everything in images. And words didn't really help me at all. And so I had to get these images out of my head. And the only way to do that was to learn how to paint. And so that was my quest from there on in, is to learn how to paint. So for the next like 5-6 years, that's what I did.
Well, you've definitely learned how to paint. That's a given. Um, so in the sense of subjects, is there a subject that you would consider that, oh shit, I can't paint this?
That's funny, man. There's actually a few paintings um, that I have not done yet, and I feel like, see, it's weird with my work. I don't try to shock people, but I don't try to sugarcoat things either. So I try to just be honest.
Well, a lot of it makes people think. Because that's the
Exactly.
thing I always deal with within the gallery when somebody sees your painting and they come in and they see it and they start with one way that they want to tell them what this painting did to them. And then
Yeah.
when you explain to them what the painting is, they go, now I see that. So that
Yeah.
was what I always have fun with your work in the gallery is when people come in and, they want to yell at me about the painting in the window. And then when you tell them what it is,
Yeah. Then
they
I
walk off
understand.
and they're like, okay, now I have to think about this. So it's always, amazed me, because and the interesting thing that I hear people that know you, because you're actually, from the East Coast here,
Yeah.
you've moved to the West Coast.
Yeah.
How do you think that's impacted the work?
I think, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like it's impacted the backgrounds that I do in a lot of my pieces, like where the characters sit, because I'm influenced a little bit by the landscape out here. So I'm in like north central Oregon, right on the Columbia River. One of the
Which you
most
can see
beautiful.
in the paintings.
Exactly. And so I'm using a lot of the backgrounds from this area in my paintings. So I think it's impacted that, especially in the last 3 or 4 years. I used to do more like urban, I guess, settings, but I've always been interested in that long landscape anyway, because it's just like I like creating that space. But I've done it, so I think that's probably been how it's impacted me the most. And then like with these recent paintings with the horses and stuff like that, I mean, these are friends of mine that have these animals and that are horse people. And so I use them in my work, so it's cool because I'm bringing sort of, my grandparents are from Boston. My parents are from Boston. So they're like urban people. I grew up in the suburbs, but like I still have that sort of love of the city.
And
So I
still
kind
the
of,
accent.
what's that?
You can still say Boston. So,
Boston.
yeah.
No, but I love the image of the businessman doesn't really play as well out here because people aren't really in that world.
No,
Um,
yeah, definitely. I can see that because you can see in the fields and just the horizon. Although this one with the horse and the businessman, I get it.
yeah,
It's like
exactly. Yeah,
two cultures coming together. You know,
exactly.
definitely in the sense of you being an artist, what do you feel that you would give advice to an artist that's up and coming or an artist that's trying to, make a name for themselves?
Yeah, I would say that I think the most important thing for a young artist is first you have to really get a hold of your craft. So it's really understand the technical aspects of your craft, and then really try to hone those skills first, because those are going to carry you through in your career. One of the biggest things is a young artist has all these ideas and they want to do everything now. They want to get them all out, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to sit and wait on them. You have to wait until you are ready to tackle these things. And so instead of thinking about a 1 year plan or a 3 year plan or a 4 year plan, think of like 20 years in the future, 25 years in the future. Where do you want to be? So you kind of have to think about the long term. And that's really difficult for a young artist because everything is happening so quick. But you have to try to find a way to slow yourself down. There's some paintings that I've done that have been in my head for 10 years. And I just wasn't ready to do them 10 years. And then I started doing them. So it's like everything has this place in time, right? And
Well,
and then and
they have
sometimes
to
that's
allow
when
themselves to ripen.
exactly. Like these characters here with the masks, I was going to do that for this year's show. So I had already planned doing the mask guy since last summer. And so I was kind of ramping up to do these characters, and all of a sudden the coronavirus hit, which is kind of ironic because I was already working on these guys with the masks. So it just kind of it was kind of weird how it sort of came together. It was sort of coincidental.
Well, I mean, that's great. It's definitely intriguing to talk to you as an artist and also as a person. One of the questions that I have, and I'm sure some of the people that come into the gallery, a painting that you did standing in front of the refrigerator with yourself naked. Did you have to sit there and think, God, is this what I do, or do I look sexy doing this? You know?
You're talking about, so that was a show I
That's
did years ago of self-portraits.
Oh yes, the one, especially your naked one. I mean, did you have to stare at your penis that long to figure out how to paint it?
Of course. Yeah, you have to get all the detail in there. No,
Those
so
are popular paintings in the gallery.
I'm sure, you got to know your audience.
Yeah, well, did you do it because you thought it's going to P-Town? Or did you think, God, I really do look sexy?
Well, I think, to be quite honest about it, when I was thinking that for that show, I was like, I'm going to do all self-portraits. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, people do self-portraits for the last 500 years, right?
True.
But has anyone ever done a self-portrait of themselves taking a piss, you know what I mean? Or sitting on the toilet or looking in the refrigerator like that. So I wanted to show like a little slice of everyday life to people. Not something that was glamorous, but just something that was, just regular life.
And it was true because they definitely hit home and they sold. So I have to say they were great.
No, that's one of the things as an artist, I'm like trying to figure out what I want to say, what I want to do. And part of it is just, hey, has anyone ever done a self-portrait of this or that? And then you just do it. And it makes it interesting. And I try not to think too hard on what I'm trying to do. I try to let the ideas come to me. So and that's my process, is I kind of let them sort of slowly enter my brain instead of forcing the creative process.
Plus, you made the people think.
What's that?
You made the people think when they're looking at it. What was he thinking?
And I try.
That's the goal.
Well, I try to make my images somewhat cloudy, so they don't really get a clear picture. Like they do, but they don't. So people can come in and they can put their own interpretation on it. I might have a certain idea. I might not even have a certain idea. It might just be the image that I want people to try to put their own interpretations to. And whatever they interpret, that's up to them, and that's fine with me. And I really enjoy that, actually, when people try to explain a painting to me and it's completely different than what I intended. I find that to be a really interesting part of the communication process. And it's how we all see things differently, from depending on our backgrounds or our ideology or wherever. So that to me is the most fascinating part of being an artist.
Well, that is great. I have a lot more that I want to ask you, so it looks like we're going to probably at some point do a part 2, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Just for everybody, before we sign off really quickly, Chris is promoting a Russian punk band on his shirt. If anybody's going to ask us, it's a great band. Chris, I want to thank you for talking to us today. And I can't wait to, when this is all over, that you can come into town and we can just sit, down, laugh our asses off like we usually do.
That's one of my favorite things, is to come to Provincetown and hang out in that city and hang out with you guys. It's truly one of my favorite things.
Great. Well, you have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Oh, it stopped.
Oh, you hit it.
Paused.
Did I do it?